Good afternoon. Good evening. I don't know. It's warm out. He's tired. He's hot. Been walking now for a while. Anyway, more questions come up. I do like it when more questions come up. People like to challenge me, and that's fine. I like to rise to the occasion. I stated several times that effective consent is not implied consent. And people are wondering, well, don't you mean express consent is an implied consent? No, I mean effective consent is an implied consent. And then people are asking me, why doesn't implied consent work? Well, there's a lot of reasons. I said what I said this morning because I had done about a 5-minute Google search. And I had found a case in Texas. It was like Williams v. Tally Dunn or something like that. It's a divorce case, but they weren't talking about divorce in this particular part. They were talking about an injunction enjoining the husband from publishing the screenshots he took from his wife's phone. And you're saying, well, this isn't criminal, and I know, but the injunction was that he couldn't publish pictures that he took from her phone in violation of Texas Penal Code 3302. What was going on? Well, husband would access wife's phone after she went to sleep. She didn't have a password on it. And he thought she was cheating on him, so he would take screenshots of various text conversations that she was having. Okay, well, I guess he really wants to sniff there, so we'll let him sniff. So she would take screenshots of various conversations. What are you eating? Swear to God. And then he started publishing them to try to discredit her, make her look bad. So because the injunction was dealing with 3302, the court had to deal with it. The husband said, I have effective consent. I have effective consent because it's community property. The phone is community property. And the wife leaves it unlocked. And the court said no. You don't have effective consent because the wife has a greater right of possession than you do. She's more of an owner. It was her phone. Like, she used it. She gave it out as her phone number. She had it set up for her. She kept it with her, etc. And so if the court isn't going to find implied consent there, where not only is, or if the court doesn't find implied consent works there, where it was community property, and she left it open and unlocked, then the court isn't going to find it where some random bimbo strolls into a unlocked department of the county and starts randomly trying out computers to see if they're unlocked. But you can go a little further into it. Again, you typically want to start at the statutes, and at the very beginning of the penal code, there is definitions. There are definitions, and specifically there is a definition for, he's hot, there is a definition for consent. And consent is assent in fact. It means that the person who's giving the consent actually has to be consenting to it. There has to be actual assent. Somebody has to actually say yes. But that assent can be either express, and this is where you're getting all excited, or apparent, not implied, express or apparent. Now, what is the difference? Express consent, if your buddy walks up to you and says, hey man, can I borrow your car? And you say yes, well, you've expressed consent. It's expressed. There's no doubt about it. You said yes. You have assented, in fact, expressly. What if your buddy walks up to you and says, hey man, can I borrow your car? And you smile and you toss him your keys. Well, you've done an affirmative act. You've tossed him the keys. That's not express. I mean, you didn't say he could use the car, but you gave him the keys. You literally gave him the keys. That's apparent. That is apparent assent. No reasonable person is going to look at that and say that you didn't give assent for him specifically to drive the car. Finally, there's implied consent. An implied consent typically works as an operation of law. For example, if you drive on Texas roads, the courts, the government, the police will say that you have, by driving on the road, you have consented to DUI testing, blood alcohol level testing. Simply by driving on their road, you have consented. Now you're going to say, well, I didn't consent. Exactly. It's implied by a function of law. Now, implied consent can be used otherwise, but it would have to be defined by statute or by some like definition in the penal code or by a case. But there is nothing to suggest that implied consent at all is a function of effective consent, because effective consent is consent by somebody with the authority to use the computer or the network or the system. So I hope that clears it up. I hope you can understand now why effective consent is an implied consent. And keep those questions coming. I enjoy them. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.